Welcome to WTF Fantasy Football Podcast with host Tony Cincotta, co-host Brian Drake, and myself, Jim Day. Welcome show, and we're going to turn you over to Tony. Tony, what you got for us?
I'll tell you what, it's an amazing night. Of course, week 3 coming up. Jim, I couldn't actually see you. I heard you talking, but I couldn't see you. I felt like I was in a haunted house, but now I can see you.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're not seeing me, your eyes are really bad.
And, of course, you listen to WTF Fantasy Football. Jim Day, as usual, here, ready and raring to go. Jim, we're 2 weeks in, and I'll tell you what, week 1, a lot of surprises. Week 2, I didn't find a lot of surprise, except somehow we have 2 ties in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, that's definitely something you're not used to. And, you know, it's weird to see that with teams. And, you know, especially with Pittsburgh, that really puts them behind the 8 ball, being 0-1-1 to start the year. It's going to, you know, they got a tough matchup against a tough Tampa Bay team all of a sudden in Tampa Bay this week. It could be a record for them.
And, of course, we've got the third wheel, Brian Drake. Brian, I tell people all the time, you know, you might be last on the program, but number 1 in people's hearts.
That's all I really want to be. And, you know, that's what my mother tells me. She says I'm special. So that's the story I'm going to go with. And I've been doing that since 4th grade. So.
And she had you tested.
Yes. Yeah. The beatings have stopped, and, you know, I feel better riding a school bus.
That's it. Before we get to anything that we can update the people, I have to ask you, Brian, since you ran the Eagles sweatshirt out, Nick Foles, are you glad the experiment looks like it's over?
Yeah, and Jim and I mentioned this off air. The Eagles weren't really running a normal offense under Nick Foles. So now that you're going to get Carson Wentz back, this offense becomes a real NFL offense, and you're going to see a lot more guys getting involved. And I think this could be the explosion of Dallas Goedert. We could see him start to do something, and you're going to see these receiving backs start actually coming into play. And I'm sure we'll touch on that. And really what it is they've got to push the ball down the field more. And you're going to have to respect Wentz's scrambling ability. So the safeties are going to be watching him a little more. Hopefully it allows Aguilar and Shelton Gibson, some guys to stretch the field. But yeah, I think it's a good thing for the Eagles. I don't think they're going to put the training wheels on them at all.
You can tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube and check out the show. Of course, you can always catch the show on iTunes. And Jim Day, we had a big vote this week. I felt like I was part of, you know, the Democrats and Republicans on whether we should expand the site or limit it. And it was interesting because keeping the site to a small group was leading the way, and then all of a sudden all these illegal votes came in.
Well, you know how those Democrats can be. But yeah, it's hard. Part of me wants to keep it small and intimate, and and just keep it that way. And part of me understands, keep it open, let more people join. But we're getting to a point where we got 70 people wanting to join in a day at this point. So it's crazy. We're just about up to 1,300 members. So it's inevitable that all of a sudden we're going to start to hear the snarky comments and, the put downs and stuff like that. And I'm going to have to go out there and play sheriff. And that's really not what I wanted.
Either that or we're going to invite Tim Tebow to the group and we'll have him circumcise all the people that are not participating as good fellows.
Okay.
Just like a sharp left turn here on the show.
Yeah, never know where Tony's going to go. You just never know.
People out there that don't know, Tim Tebow in the off season, which is now a different off season, he volunteers to go to Philippines and he does circumcisions for kids.
I did not know that. Okay, fair enough.
You never know what you get from the show. Matt Berry ain't going to talk about that. Greg
he just likes to hold on to little boys' peepees.
Here's the thing, folks. Last week we wanted to give you our Survivor picks for the week, and we ran out of time. So we're going to start off with them, and then we're going to get to some news and notes, get to some fact and fiction. We got everything coming your way. Here's the thing, people. When you're playing Survivor, I think guys screw it up big time. They wait, and they save teams. Just pick the team every week. So far, I picked Green Bay in week 1. I picked the Chargers over the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going back to the well this week. The Minnesota Vikings play the Buffalo Bills. Don't be smarter than everyone else. Don't be prettier than everyone else. Just take the Vikings.
And yeah, I totally agree with that. I have to agree with that as well. I've always had the problem in the past of trying to get, cute and take that risky play, hoping to save the big names for later. But no, do it the opposite. Take the big names early and worry about the cute plays later on, because at least you stay involved. But even that's definitely not foolproof, as we saw in week 1 with New Orleans being 10-point favorites. And, most survivor pools lost half or more of their participants just from that one game.
Brian, who do you like this week in the survivor pool?
I love what you said, and I've never been good at these stupid things. So I'm going to take your advice, and I'm going to take the Patriots over the Lions. I mean, the Lions look totally inept. Patriots are the Patriots. I bet they throw a deep ball to Josh Gordon. Move on the next week, and you still got a little money in the pot.
Real quick, who's the worst team in the NFL, Arizona or Buffalo?
Oh, Buffalo by a mile. Oh, I got a funny story about this. So I live in upstate New York. Sunday, after the Bills game, I was at a throughway rest stop in Rochester, New York, which is between Buffalo and Syracuse. And there's hundreds of Bills fans on the road stopping in, going to the Burger King, whatever. And I'm talking to all these guys in their jerseys, man. I'm like, hey, how'd it go? What was the score? Blah, blah, blah. The amount of people who just didn't care at this point already. They were like, hey, man, I left at halftime. I was just drinking in the parking lot. It's cool. They don't care. The fans have given up on it. They quit at halftime too. They didn't care. Vontae Davis was leading the charge. That guy was a trendsetter. Everybody else was leaving to go drink and throw assholes through tables in the parking lot. And he's like, you know what? I'm joining you. Let's go. So Buffalo's horrendous.
I sent Eli an email telling him that I thought it was a good thing for him to think about.
You want him to quit at halftime?
Yeah, I thought that was a really good idea. It's time for you to go, boy.
News and notes. Doug Baldwin, of course, missed Monday Night Football. He's still sidelined at practice. Jim, Seattle looked like a sorry unit, and the offense is suffering. We're going to talk a little bit about Russell Wilson later in the show. Thoughts on the Seattle offense and Doug Baldwin?
Well, yeah, Doug Baldwin not being there is really hurting this offense, but that offensive line is hurting it more. Really making Russell Wilson have to work for every single anything at this point, and that's just not a good look. Baldwin, at this point, we still have no idea what we're looking at with him. It could be, a couple more weeks. It could be another month. But at the same time, you can't really drop him. When he comes back, he's still going to be your top either 1 or 2 wide receiver by far. So you can't drop him. You can't trade him because he's got no trade value right now, still being injured. So you really got no choice. If you own him, you got to hold him.
Oh, hey, now you're speaking my language. Trade for Doug Baldwin right now. That's what I would be doing. Find the guy who has him, who's, upset that he's killing him on his bench, and throw something at him. Say, hey, listen, I got Antonio Callaway. I just scooped up. New number 1, maybe, taking over that Josh Gordon role in Cleveland. What do you think? Maybe the guy needs help right now. There's a lot of different leagues out there. So if you're sitting pretty and you can stash him on the bench, not a bad time to shoot for the stars.
I'll tell you what, we've got drama in Pittsburgh, and I don't know who's worse, the players or the team. Antonio Brown missed practice, gets disciplined by coach Mike Tomlin, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers today on their official website take Le'Veon Bell off the roster. I got to ask you, Brian, how's this drama going down in Pittsburgh?
Boy, this is bad, man. It's really bad, and I always thought Tomlin was a really good player's coach. And it seems kind of like he's lost the locker room, and they're all over him. The media is kind of just going at him, and Antonio Brown now is fighting with guys on Twitter, and the players are fighting with themselves and Le'Veon Bell, and this is a mess. This is going to break down quickly, and you could see a team that was, should have been in the Super Bowl last year. You could see them all of a sudden winning like 6 games.
Yeah, Jim, I'll tell you what, I think the same thing. I thought their defense was overrated coming into the season, but it looks like we got problems on the offense, defense, special teams, in the head coach's headphones, but he doesn't wear any.
Yeah, no, and, I wouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't say I wouldn't be. I would hate to see it, but especially with them being 0-1-1, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tomlin actually sits Brown for, a half of this game or maybe even a whole game, trying to make a point. I don't think he will because they're in such dire straits, but don't be surprised if it does happen.
I'll tell you what, it's gotten crazy. It's gotten absolutely crazy there in Pittsburgh. But I got to tell you, that's not the only place people are looking for answers, and people are looking for situations. But how about let's focus on a positive. What about the Miami Dolphins and Ryan Tannehill being 2-0?
I think the bigger point in Miami is how well their defense is playing. Yeah. I mean, they're shutting people down. I think they're giving up, 40 yards a game rushing, I saw, which is really impressive. And I didn't think that coaching staff knew what it was doing, and I didn't think Tannehill was very good. And obviously, they don't need Devontae Parker. I think he could get traded at some point this year if they got a nice offer. But really impressed with what Miami's doing down there with kind of some ragtag thrown together guys. They look like Patriots South. It's a bunch of guys that are just kind of like, yeah, Kenny Stills, Amendola, and boom, they're legit, and it's led by the defense.
Brian, I really hate to correct you. I hate to correct anybody, but I'm going to have to throw this at you. Actually, Miami's 22nd against the run so far in two games.
I got to look this stat up. I was literally looking at this right before we came on.
They've given up 43 rushes for 142 yards and 1 touchdown, and also 13 receptions for 118 yards and another touchdown. Basically 25.5 PPR fantasy points a game.
Well, then I'm an asshole.
No, you're not an asshole. We all do it. We all say, but I will tell you that they're number 4 against QBs and number 4 against wide receivers. So they've done a great job through the air. It's the ground that they can be beat on.
Real interesting. Of course, the New England Patriots this week get Josh Gordon from the Cleveland Browns. They cut Corey Coleman, then they sign him to the practice squad. So, Jim, I'll ask you first. Is Josh Gordon going to be the next Randy Moss?
Maybe Moss at the end of his career. Look, I've said this a million times. We know what a playmaker he is when he steps on the field. Unfortunately, he just doesn't do it often enough that we can count on him. I'm not ready to just want to deal with this anymore. If I'm a Josh Gordon owner right now, I am absolutely looking to try and sell him. His value may not be higher again this year now that he's going to the Patriots. There's going to be somebody out there licking his chops, wanting to get him in their lineup for Brady to throw to him. And you know what? If I make that trade and get somebody that I really want now, and he still goes off, I'm okay with that. I will absolutely be okay with that. It won't bother me in the least, but I just don't want that headache of having to worry about him every single week.
I like that because, we talk football, but we're playing a fantasy game, and the game is about acquiring assets and moving things around. So you made a great point there. Let's move Josh Gordon if we can when his value's never been higher because he hasn't played a game. No one's seen him in the uniform. So let's go get a real piece that can help us. Imagine if someone says like, hey, I'll give you Keenan Allen for Josh Gordon right now. You take that in a heartbeat. That'd be unbelievable. Because that offense still runs through Gronk and then Edelman, who comes back after next week.
This always works in dynasty leagues. Like you can trade these guys for a fortune before they even play a game. And then it's like buying a car. Their value diminishes once they get on the field. And here's the thing. We're doing this on Wednesday. Josh Gordon was limited in practice because he's got a hamstring injury as well.
Yeah. And not only that, yesterday I just made a trade where I traded him for David Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. The guy came to me. I didn't even go to him. I was like, yeah, okay, how fast can I get to that accept button? Thank you.
It's like that with rookies too, especially like you talk about dynasty drafts. These rookies that before the season starts, people build them up like they're Buster and Canton already. And then they come out and you say, oh, wow, these guys actually stink. Freeman's not that great. Barber or
Ronald Jones.
Yeah, the kid in Tampa stinks, can't get on the field.
But the worst part about it is, they'll draft him. They'll wait those 2 weeks where they don't do anything. They'll drop them, and then they'll come back to life, and they'll be trying to scramble to get him back.
It's a long season. I mean, we still have a month before Halloween. Then you got Thanksgiving. Then you got Christmas when the fantasy playoffs are going on. A lot of time left in fantasy. People are bailing on good assets way too early.
No, it's absolutely crazy. Speaking of good assets, Jacksonville Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette gets limited reps in practice. It was interesting that they chose not to use him. Basically, Fournette wanted to play. I think it was a good move by the Jaguars, obviously, if they won. A lot of people out here talking about how the Jaguars actually have a better record with Leonard Fournette out of the lineup. And they got Tennessee, a division game this week. I don't know if he plays. Jim, if he plays a couple games in a row, you talked about selling on Josh Gordon. I might sell on Leonard Fournette, and this is a guy I was high in draft season. It just the Jacksonville Jaguars take it easy with this guy too much.
Well, and he's constantly injured, at least as far as perspective is, and that's what might hurt you if you try to move him at this point. People are going to be a little leery, but there might be somebody ready to buy. At the end of draft season, he was coming up into the first round, and to me, that was just too risky a pick that I would want to invest that highly in him. Look, I know he's good. We expected him to get the lion's share of the carries in this offense. But again, with the constant ankle injuries, always definitely something of a concern to me. So I wasn't really as high on him as most and don't really have a lot of shares of him. But this week, it looks like TJ Yeldon is going to be out. Fournette is going to play. But don't be surprised at all if we see a lot of Corey Grant in this one.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you'll see a lot of the passing game. You saw Blake Bortles unleash it last week. I think if you're going to play DFS this week, Blake Bortles is going to throw the ball 35 times in this game, which we don't usually see him throw the ball that much.
Well, look what he did to New England last week. I mean, he just came out aggressive from the start and just totaled them.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Brian, Jack Doyle did not practice dealing with a hip injury. Does that mean Eric Ebron needs to be dusted, Brian? I mean, he's on a fire and getting the end zone.
Yeah, if you look at the distribution of snaps, routes run, and all that targets, I mean, Jack Doyle's really doing very well. He's far and away ahead of Ebron. It's just Ebron's catching touchdown passes, and that's bumping his value like any tight end out there. It's a wasteland for a position. But yeah, I mean, if Doyle can't go, Ebron's shit, he might be a top 3 tight end this week with how bad that position is. I mean, he's started and owned in most every league. He's probably, someone's tight end 1.
And not only that, people are starting to panic on Doyle already, which don't panic on him. Like you say, he's still getting the majority of the snaps, running a ton of routes. I think week 2 just turned out to be that Indy really wanted to get T.Y. Hilton involved after not really getting him involved in week 1. So I really thought they made that effort to really go to him a lot. And that's what, it was just a game plan type of thing. And you add into the fact that, Luck is going to be dink and duck, I think, all year. He's not really stretching the field very much. He's taking what they're giving him. And you know what? So what? Good for him. It still helps us, especially in PPR leagues. We love all those little dump-off passes. But I think that really continues to make these tight ends in play. And there's no doubt about it. He likes looking for, Ebron in the red zone.
And Ebron last week, let's say what it was. He had 3 for 26, but he scored a touchdown.
Right, so, right.
Yeah, he's not setting the world on fire.
He got the end zone both games, and I'll tell you what, if he got those, he got to I think 9 fantasy points like within 10 minutes of the game, and people were all fired up. Eric Ebron, he didn't get much more than that. So, yeah, he's playable, he's likable, but he hasn't exactly carried away. And Jack Doyle the first week didn't play bad at all. He coughed the ball up on a fumble too, so you lost 2 points in your leagues.
I mean, if you're getting any tight end that gets in the end zone, you're doing backflips down the street naked because, I mean, shit, Will Dissly scoring touchdowns. If you have Njoku or any of these guys, you're jumping off a cliff. Nobody's scoring.
My favorite, Ben Watson, who's doing nothing. Oh, man, I was so high on him.
I played him in DFS a lot this week, and that one hurt me a little bit there.
I played George Kittle a lot last week, although I did really good in DFS. I won 3 out of my 4 50-50s. So I was kind of happy with that. I'll take that.
I was a Pat Mahomes and Michael Thomas guy this week. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, no, you definitely like that. I no doubt about it. I had the team. I had 2 of my teams were either a Mahomes stack or a Big Ben stack, so it really worked out well.
You play big money 50-50s? What do you? I'm like a $10 guy.
Yeah, it's about my range too. I'm not a big dollar guy. I'm not usually a big better of anything. Big money. Money's too hard to come by. But I do like those $5-10 games. They're fun, and you're not going to lose your shirt if you have a bad week.
Right.
I'll plead the 5th.
Cheapskates unite.
It is what it is. If you got the money,
more arrogant than those DFS guys talking about how much money they won.
And that's okay. Good for them. They're, how much money did they lose while they were winning that much money they won?
And how much money did them? It's a lot. Give them.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Some of them are very good, but
oh no, they definitely are. I mean, hey, look, Tommy G is an asshole, but he's a great DFS player. I mean, I know the guy. I've met the guy. He's an asshole, but he's a great DFS player. I mean, I take his advice all the time.
Here's the crazy part. He might agree with you.
He would agree with me.
The Baltimore Ravens. Alex Collins had one more snap this week than Javaris Allen. Jim, what's going on here?
No, it's not even a question anymore. Buck Allen is the play there now. Look, not only is Collins, having a 50-50 split of actual plays, he's lost the goal line work too. Buck Allen is getting the goal line work and is the pass catching back. He's the one to own in that backfield right now, not Collins. I mean, I think Collins will turn it around and have better weeks, but right now I want Buck Allen.
I mean, he finished 9 for 35 this week, 9 rushes for 35 yards. I think Alex Collins has the same problem that Leonard Fournette has. When he comes in, the defense knows exactly what you're doing, and it makes it hard for the offense to move the ball. You just can't be multiple in your offensive sets with these big plotting backs, and that's the problem. That's why Le'Veon Bell is so great. That's why, Joe Mixon's having a great year, because you don't know what they're going to do when they're on the field. Alex Collins, he comes in, you go, we got this. Yeah, hand off up the middle. Yeah, I got it. Next.
But now, guys, you listen to WTF Fantasy. We're going to play fact or fiction. You can play along. I'll make a statement. We'll get a fact or fiction from the guys, and you can play at home. You know what I mean? Vanna White ain't going to come over, though, and turn your letters. You're going to have to do whatever you got here. First thing, I'll start with you, Jim. Josh Gordon will be a top 10 wide receiver now that he's in New England.
I'm going to go with that's fiction. Look, Gronk is still a top tight end. I mean, the top wide receiver to own in New England, whether he's a tight end or not. You get Edelman back soon, and, of course, he's a big play for Brady. Gordon is going to be third option in this offense. Look, not only that, we have to worry also how quickly he's going to learn what is supposed to be one of the most complicated offenses in the league. He's not supposed to be a brain surgeon when it comes to intelligence. Let's put it that way. I really don't know the man per se, but the word is out there that that's not really his forte. So it's going to be hard to say. And, the one thing we do know with Belichick is if he's not really going to move his playbook around to suit you, you either learn the playbook or you don't.
For all the people out there, that's what happened to Chad Ochocinco. He couldn't learn the playbook when he went to New England. People probably don't even remember that Ochocinco played for the Patriots.
Yeah, it really was a fleeting memory, wasn't it?
Back to a fiction, Brian. David Johnson is a great buy low option.
I'm the king of the buy low, so that's like where I'm at. But you've got to buy low in a good situation, someone who just had a little bad luck. And that's not a good situation in Arizona. They're going to be switching quarterbacks at some point. Hell, they could be switching offensive coordinators at some point. It's a really bad line. It's a really bad scheme. And unless they get him out and get him used in the passing game, he's not going to see any action on the ground. So, I mean, if you can buy real low on him, go for it, because running backs are worth their weight in gold. But I'm not giving up any, really good startable asset for him right now, because I just think that team's going to be dog shit for the next 3 months.
Jim,
you're going to be what? Tell us how you really feel.
Jim, I understand trading Josh Gordon for him, but what about buying low in a traditional sense of the method? Because the one thing that David Johnson is, they got him running more wide receiver pass routes than he used to under the prior coaching regime. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, I think my thoughts would be better if they put Josh Rosen in than right now Sam Bradford. Again, I keep saying this, but the one thing you could count on Bradford before, when he was in the lineup the few times he was, is that he was highly accurate. He's not even that right now. Oh. His balls are all over the place. When Larry Fitzgerald can't catch him, it's time to move on. And I can't believe this team hasn't moved on yet. There's definitely, at this point, I would just say, you know what? Get the rookie in there. Let's see what we got.
I'll tell you right now, people, I'm going to give you one advice that is 100% accurate. Whatever you do in life, you want to hire Sam Bradford's agent, because this guy's made a ton of money in his NFL career, and he hasn't done anything in about 5 years.
He's going to play 4 games this year probably for the Arizona Cardinals and walk out of there with $10 million. It's unbelievable. God bless him.
I know, you can't kill him. So, Brian, I'll throw it around. Kareem Hunt.
You know what? That's actually a great point you guys bring up. What if he's intentionally missing his wide receivers so he can go back to the bench and relax? Still making a ton of money. He don't care. He don't want to get out there and get beat up. He knows he's never going to be a long-term QB anymore. Why not just say
method right there?
Yeah.
I got to ask Kareem Hunt, Jim and Brian. Kareem Hunt, facts or fiction, is great buy low right now.
Oh, yeah. I actually do think that's a good buy low opportunity. He scored this past week. It was a catch, but he still scored. And they're going to figure things out. Defensive coordinators are going to be watching the tape on Mahomes. They're going to kind of break some things down, see what they can do to limit his insane upside. And at some point, Andy Reid's going to remember that he has an all-pro running back behind him, and he's going to get his touches. Absolutely. If you can get on, he's not hurt. He's got an okay offensive line. They're going to be moving the ball and getting him in space, and he's going to catch the rock. So, hell yeah, that's the kind of guy you want on a fantasy team.
Jim, I'm concerned, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony. I
drafted him in a couple leagues. But the first game, Spencer Ware played too much. I didn't see the snap counts for game number 2. I look at the offense. They got 3 great weapons with speed, with Hill, Watkins, Kelsey, right? They got a quarterback speed. I'll tell you what, Andy Reid likes to call them offensive plays. I really think this game's changed, and I think Kareem Hunt's in trouble.
I've been concerned with him too. I don't have much draft stock in him this year for that reason. Look, I like Mahomes. He's playing outrageous at this point, no doubt about it. I mean, he's off the charts. But the problem with him is he hasn't progressed enough as a quarterback yet to learn how to get down to that check down to that to that running back. And without Hunt getting those receptions, that really caps his value, and he becomes touchdown dependent. And I just don't know if we see that with Mahomes going off, chucking the ball away he has, like you said, to the 3 great weapons. Well, 2.5 great weapons. I'm still not ready to put Watkins as a great weapon.
I agree with you.
But he had a good week. I'll give him that. Hopefully we see more of them out of him. But, you know, it's just Mahomes hasn't progressed enough as a quarterback yet to get to that point where he can get to that 4-3 and get to that running back and check down to him. So until that happens, that's going to hurt Hunt's value. Now, that being said, it depends on what you can get him for right now. Again, you always got to explore the possibilities and see what you can get. If you can get him for somebody like, let's say if somebody wanted to trade him to me right now for Deshaun Jackson, how do you say no to that?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Right, but there's people out there overreacting because Deshaun Jackson is leading the league in yardage, in receiving yardage, so they're overreacting. And the thing that kills me is Deshaun Jackson is leading the league in receiving yardage. I think, forget the number, 200 and whatever yards, 78, I think, or something like that. A couple of yards ahead of Michael Thomas. He has done that with 9 receptions to Michael Thomas's 28.
I mean, Kareem Hunt still had 18 carries last week. So people are talking like, you know, they've just forgotten about the running game. I mean, he got 18 carries for 75 yards. I mean, go look around the fantasy rosters in your leagues and look at some of the straight skank that these guys are playing. I mean, you know, you've got guys starting Adrian Peterson, Buck Allen, you know, James White, I guarantee is somebody's RB2 this week. So if you can go get a guy with a pedigree of Kareem Hunt getting 18 carries a week, hell yeah, put that guy on my roster.
Here's the thing with the passing, though, that you talked about. That's not going to happen this year where he's going to all of a sudden hit the check down the passes. Here's the thing is that people don't realize when you have a quarterback with athletic ability, after the second and third read, they take off. So they're never going to throw it to that check down running back. And here's the thing. Cam Newton's been his whole career, he hasn't been able to do it. And Cam Newton's a guy that could take off. Cam Newton, now you see the passes, Christian McCaffrey. That's not a check down running back. That's actually the first option in that passing game.
I love that he has more receptions than rushing attempts this year. That's just a fantastic stat. But talking about Hunt, hey, if I can go get him, I'll go. If anybody out there listening in America is in a league with me, one of my many leagues, send me Kareem Hunt offers.
You might get a few now. You might get a few here. Antonio Brown wants to trade or he wants to cry a little bit. I like that. I like that he wants to be traded. There's no way in hell they could trade him. What's going on here? Do you think Antonio Brown will sit out a few games and him and Le'Veon Bell will take some pictures on a boat or something?
No, absolutely not. Look, he's going to be on the field. We did talk about this a little while ago, and there is a chance that little bells in the back of my head saying I could see Tomlin trying to make a point here and sitting him for a little while in this game, but they need this game. So they need to win this game. They can't really afford not to have him on the field. There's no way they could trade him because their cap hit next year would be tremendous. It's just not going to happen. That was just a stupid tweet to some troll who used to work for the Steelers, giving him the elbow, and he was just pissed off anyway. We saw him on the sideline, yelling at the offensive coordinator on Sunday. He just wasn't happy. He had a temper tantrum. They'll get over it.
Let me ask you, Brian. Brian, when you look at – you asked this question, so I'm going to answer it first for you. Does the addition of Jordan Matthews hurt Nelson Aguilar? I don't think it hurts him as much as the change at quarterback. When you look at Nelson Aguilar coming out of the slot, that was the feast of famine for Nick Foles. I think Nelson Aguilar is still going to be good, but he won't be as targeted as he was the first 2 weeks with Carson Wentz at quarterback.
Well, I definitely think this is going to hurt Nelson Aguilar. Aguilar last year ran 86% of his routes from the slot. He had 91 targets and he had over 800 yards. When he went out of the slot, he had
pure garbage.
59% of his 17 non-slot targets were for 64 yards. This year in the slot, 8 of 10, 78 yards and a touchdown. This year outside, same thing, 8 of 10, but for 43 yards. He just doesn't have the quickness to win at the line of scrimmage. And people would say, oh, he's fast, he's this and that. No, he can't separate. That's why they moved him to the slot and they got rid of Jordan Matthews. But I also don't think Jordan Matthews necessarily makes the team and makes this big, huge splash. He couldn't catch on in Buffalo, who has literally the three of us as wide receivers. He went to New England, who's starved for wide receivers. Couldn't do anything there either. So who's to say he's going to come into Philly and all of a sudden now he just takes back his role from 3 years ago? I'm not necessarily sure that happens, but if he is on the field and Aguilar's outside, that is a downgrade for Nelson Aguilar.
A downgrade, man. That's a rough line. All you Nelson Aguilar guys, you can go ahead and make that move. Guy, everybody's rooting for. Bengals quarterback Andy Dalton, lighting it up, always getting bashed. Jim Day, is he now a starter at fantasy football each and every week?
I don't know if he's going to be a starter each and every week. It definitely helps when you have somebody like A.J. Green getting open as much as he did in the first half of that game. But he did go quiet in the second half, and that's always a concern. So, look, he's playing good football right now. A.J. is playing good. He's got Tyler Boyd who's stepping up for him. They still don't have a tight end that they can count on. Eifert is losing, plenty of snaps to Azuma and
my man Tyler Kroft.
Yeah, and a bunch of others. I was going to say, yeah, Azuma's even playing as much as Kroft, so that's surprising. But not so much from that position. But Boyd is stepping up. AJ Green had a great game. Okay, let's temper that. 3 touchdowns always a great game, but it would have been nice to see a few more yards in that game for him as well. I like him. If you can pick him up, pick him up. There's a bunch of guys that were drafted that aren't doing it right now. Trubisky, Alex Smith. You know what? Take the upside. Take him. Man, I can't believe I'm saying upside and him in the same term. But yeah, at this point he is.
That's amazing. Amazing situation there. Brian, Deshaun Jackson, a must start every week. We quoted how many yards he's got. The Tampa Bay offense is lighting up. Do you just put Deshaun in every week, Brian?
Well, like we said, he's not going to get that many targets, and he's really the ultimate boom or bust guy. If you have him on one of these best ball teams, you're loving life. It's fantastic. But, if you got him on a team and you're starting 3 wide receivers and a flex, yeah, I think Deshaun Jackson's got to be in there. If you're only starting 2 wide receivers, like a lot of fantasy leagues out there, I don't care that he's leading the league in receiving yards. That's total fluke nonsense, because he scored some big plays. So no, if you have better options than Deshaun, who's going to catch 3 balls a game, get somebody else in there. This is going to be over with soon.
No. Again, we keep talking about this, but you're overlooking the obvious. Sell the boy right now. Sell him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sell him. Go out there and get, a used Cadillac for him. You'll be much happier.
Jim, I got to ask you this question because I go both ways on the
show. Hey, we were talking about that off air, but okay, you finish your story. It's okay.
We've gone that way in society. It's okay. It's acceptable now. Chicago Bears head coach Matt Nagy says we need to get Jordan Howard the ball more. First, my comments on Matt Nagy. It's fun to watch the Bears play right now. Matt Nagy is going to get that offense killed. That team will be in the second half of the season will go no more than 2-6 because Tariq Cohen will be out injured. Jordan Howard will be out injured. Mitchell Trubisky will be, but that'll be a benefit. And they run too many plays. He likes to show that he knows the playbook, and it's fun to watch, but they're just not going to win games.
Yeah, it's tough to count on him right now, no doubt about it. At least Burton got on the scorecard this week and did something for a lot of people that overspent for him, as far as I'm concerned, in drafts. Just look, it was pure upside, pure speculation on a guy who's never caught more than 35 balls at any level of his playing career. To think all of a sudden he's going to catch 75 balls, I thought was kind of nuts. But he was going up there quite early, and that was all because of Matt Nagy. And now he comes out with the Captain Obvious statement of the week, saying you need to get Jordan Howard more touches. Yeah, we all could have told you that, and we're not even there. That was just really stupid.
Tight end on the goal line.
Yeah, it's just like you say, he's trying to be too cute when you got somebody back there who can handle it. Just let him bull his way in there.
It's nice though seeing that they're using him in the passing game more. His PPR points per game are up over any year that he's played, so that's encouraging to see. But I agree with you guys. Stop being so cute with the play calling and just use your best players.
That seems to be the way to go. Speaking about best players, Brian, what are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do? Ryan Fitzpatrick, will he keep his job after Winston's suspension's over?
Well, I mean, the guy is averaging 41 fantasy points a game. He's playing against the Steelers this week, who give up about 35 a game so far to quarterbacks. So it's not going to be after this week. But this is what's going to happen. Full disclosure, I picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick in my biggest of big leagues. I'm starting him this week. He's going to crack.
That's the death knell.
He's done. Jared Goff, who I bench, is going to throw 11 touchdowns, and Fitzpatrick's going to get hurt in the first quarter. I mean, that new offensive coordinator's found something with Fitzpatrick. He's getting the ball out quick. He's got a boatload of weapons. So, I mean, is it going to stay at this clip? No. But why can't he keep that job? I mean, if they're happy and they're winning and they're contending, they're not going to take him out.
And that's my thoughts. If they end up beating Pittsburgh and going 3-0 with the schedule they had to start the season, when most people thought they would fight to be 1-2 by now, going against New Orleans and Philly and now Pittsburgh, if they come out of that 3-0, how the hell you take the ball out of his hands?
I totally agree. I think he's going to be the guy going forward. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out with Winston on the sideline. I got to ask you guys, fact or fiction, Brady, Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers are not in the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks after 2 weeks. If Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers, which one do you think is most likely, Jim, not to finish in the top 5?
Oh, tough question. Well, you know what? I'm going to go out on the limb, and I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers only because I'm worried about that leg holding up over a long period. Of course, they came out today and said they're worried that it could get worse as well. And, if I'm going to pick one of those three, with him already having the bad knee, I think I have to go with him.
I would say the same thing just because of the injury. I don't think he plays 16 games this year, but let's throw it a different angle and say Russell Wilson has really putrid wide receivers and a bad offensive coordinator. So that's going to hold him back unless he's throwing the ball 50 times a week. I mean, he's throwing to like high school kids out there at this point. It's bad. So I could easily see him not finishing that high.
Pittsburgh Steelers running back James Conner is 4th leading running back in PPR leagues right now. Le'Veon Bell just got scratched off the website of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jim Day, does James Conner finish a top 10 running back?
Yeah, from weeks 1 through 10, absolutely. From weeks 10 on, it's going to be the Le'Veon Bell show as they run him into the ground.
I don't think Le'Veon will ever play a game for them.
No,
that's interesting. Wow.
When he comes back, I'm pretty sure they're going to put him in. And, look, it is this. They get him for those last games. At this point, it looks like they're absolutely going to need him. Look, he's a special player when he's on the field. There's no doubt about it. Connor's been playing very well, but he's no Le'Veon Bell. Bell is one of those generational talents. He's just an idiot. but he will be back by week 10. They will put him on the field just because they got nothing to lose by running him to the ground. They're never going to give him another contract. He's done. He's going to go on to somebody else. And at that point, you get a fresh Le'Veon Bell from weeks 10 through 17. And, that's really a nice pickup for playoff time.
Here's what I think, Brian, is going to happen. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Pittsburgh will be out of it. They will suspend Le'Veon Bell for whatever reason they can come up with. And then they will petition the league to not allow him to be a free agent since he owes them 1 year of the season.
That is really interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but wait. I got to throw this out there, though. But if they do that, then they're stuck with having to deal with his nonsense again next year.
I think they're ready to play hardball with him.
Nah, I don't see them wanting to go into next year with any kind of thoughts of having him around.
I could totally see, though, that after the week 10 date comes and goes, and say they have 3 wins at that point. And they just go, the hell with it. We're just going to keep riding James Conner and
the other
next year.
What allows them, Jim, to do is trade him instead of let him walk away.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to trade him either. But
he's won the league. They get away with everything.
Well, there is that. I can't argue with you. I don't know.
Well, Bill Belichick gets caught with everything, and the Steelers get away with everything. Kenny Golladay, Brian, is a top 10 wide receiver in PPR leagues. Kenny Golladay have any chance of finishing in the top 10?
No. Come on. It's a bad team, so they're throwing a ball all over the place, hopefully to their own team. If you've watched Matt Stafford this year, holy smokes. But no, Golden Tate is still going to get his 100. Marvin Jones is still very, very good. He was a top 10 guy last year. Galladay's super impressive. I like him a lot. Man, he needs one of those guys to go down, and then he's got a shot. But if all 3 of them are there, no way.
Jim, you agree?
No, I don't. I think Galladay's the up-and-comer here. I love Marvin Jones too, but I think they really like what they're seeing out of Golladay. I think he just gives them a little bit more spark than Jones does at this point, and I won't be surprised at all if he comes out of this season leading this team in receptions.
Last but not least, 2 San Diego running backs from the top 10 in PPR leagues. Jim, do we have any way to finish the season with both these guys in the top 10? And I'm sure Austin Eckler's on waiver wires out there.
Oh, yeah. If Eckler's on waiver wires out there, you got to get him. You got to pick him up, especially if Gordon goes down for any reason. Eckler becomes an instant RB1 in that offense. So, he definitely needs to be owned, especially if you own Gordon.
Yeah, Brian, you look at it, San Diego's featuring the running backs in the passing game. Gordon and Eckler both getting involved. Is there a way you can roster both these guys?
Yeah, look what we had last year in New Orleans, where if you had Ingram and Kamara, you were playing both of them and getting fantastic results. So if you could do that, that's great. But I don't think the Austin Eckler stuff stands as the season goes on. They've got too many weapons on the outside, too, that I think they want to get Mike Williams going, and you've got Keenan Allen. They've got really good weapons out there. So I think it's a 2-week sample. Austin Eckler's not going to keep that going. But, hey, if he does and you got them both, God bless you, because you're really cooking with some gas here, because running backs are hard to find in fantasy.
Yeah, but, Eckler put up pretty decent numbers in the limited snaps he had last year. I think this organization likes him. It gives them a chance to spell Gordon. There's plenty enough, work for both of these guys. With, even with Gordon getting, 20 to 25 touches he's been getting, sometimes even more, I think that there's a chance we start to see Eckler not really break into hit Gordon's numbers, but definitely start a little bit of his own numbers. So, sort of like what we get out of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman.
That's probably a better comparison than the New Orleans guys, because that was just so special. I just can't see them sustaining that with Austin Eckler. I don't see him as a special talent. I think they really want to run the ball with Melvin Gordon, and they're going to use those big wide receivers out there. And is Antonio Gates alive? Is he still among us? Is he on the team?
No, he's banged up. He missed practice today.
Yeah, Jesus. You haven't heard anything about that guy.
He had a couple of catches in week 1, didn't do anything in week 2. Look, but also
so
you got to remember.
Tight end.
Yep, yeah, right. But you also got to remember, there's only 3 tight ends so far that have been double digits in both weeks, and they're not the names you think of. Because Gronk didn't do it in week 2, Kelsey didn't do it week 1. Eckler, I Ertz didn't do it in 1 of the 2 weeks. Disley is one of them. I wrote it down. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me right now.
I'll tell you what, he might be the number one target in that Seattle offense.
I'll tell you what, he came a lot closer to having even bigger numbers because there were a couple of nice plays to him that the defenders made, some good pickups on it and got back to him and shut it down. But he was close to having a real big game.
Brian, we're going to turn this over to you now because we've got what everybody's waiting for. Their questions answered right in the chat room at Facebook. They ask questions all week. You know what? If they're good enough, we'll answer them right here on the show.
Yeah, so thanks, guys. And if you're following us on YouTube at the WTF Fantasy Football channel, you can talk to us right in the chat room. Jim loves talking to you guys during the show, and you can ask us questions, and we'll get to them on the air. Let's see who's been in here. We got a lot of guys talking in here. Okay, Jason asks, let's see, I gotta get back up top here. I apologize for that.
You think it's Name That Tune?
It's hard in the chat. We got a bunch of people chatting, which is nice, but it sort of pushes the questions through a lot faster. It's hard to scroll up to find them. I get that. So yeah, no doubt about it. Let's see. You're struggling for one. I'll find one real quick.
Well, let's see. There's a guy right here. He says, Sean says he was able to grab Gio to pair with Clement this week. Do you play them over Barber and Hines?
Without a doubt. I play both of those guys without a doubt. Gio Bernard, I saw a great stat today, and damn, I didn't get to see who it was on Twitter. But that when he sees the ball more than 16 times a game, he averages almost 17 fantasy points in PPR leagues. So he's going to get that many touches this week easily. I like him a lot. You got to get him in. Clement, it really comes down, we're definitely not – I don't think we're going to see
the
Ajayi, well, there's still a chance we don't see Ajayi too, which definitely helps him.
Sproles isn't going to play either.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Sproles is going to play. So I think he's absolutely a good play in this one. I think they get him the ball.
I think that Cincinnati offensive line is better than it's been in 10 years. And I think it's going to help anyone that's in that back. So Bernard put up those numbers with an inferior offensive line when he's been in that back there.
Good point. Very good point. Their offensive line has definitely been playing better, no doubt about it. And we definitely have a few more questions here in the chat. Nice.
A lot of people are asking about Larry Fitzgerald. Is it crazy to bench him? Or say you have Will Fuller playing against the Giants secondary. Do you sit down Larry Fitzgerald? What are you guys doing with Larry Legend here going forward?
I'm the worst to ask this question because I'm a guy, and I got to be honest, once I pick a guy in the 3rd or 4th round, I always play him every week, and I stick loyal to my guys. If we were playing daily fantasy, I would look at the matchups, and I would actually go Will Fuller before there. But I always stick to my draft because I say, hey, you know what? 6 months of preparation you put in 2 weeks, you can't throw it out the window.
And look, we think of the Chicago defense is very good, but through 2 weeks, they actually haven't been very good against the pass. Well, they did go against Green Bay, but they shut down Seattle, but that was their offensive line. But, they've already given up 4 passing touchdowns, almost 450 yards through the air through 2 weeks. So they can be beat that way. Fortunately, it's not so much with Bradford. But the thing that really seals the deal for me and might push me towards benching Fitz this week is that he's dealing with a bad hamstring.
Yeah,
they really should sit him down for a week, give him another week to heal that thing, because if they get him out there and push it, we could lose him for the season. And that really scares me. I'm a big Larry Fitz guy. I own him a ton. I would really hate to see that happen. But, these hamstring injuries for wide receivers are never good. And just because he starts the game doesn't mean he's going to finish the game anyway. Fuller, I don't, again, people get that bias of what they expect. And the one thing, the Giants are 0-2, but right now their defense is playing very well. They're number 5 against quarterbacks through 2 weeks. They're number 6 against wide receivers. They've only given up 1 passing touchdown, through the 1 to wide receivers anyway. So, it's not like it's a done deal here that Houston is going to go out and put up points against this defense.
Scott McMillan wants to know, He lost Joe Mixon, so his choice between a couple of passing backs here. Who are you starting, James White or Buck Allen this week, Tony?
You know, seeing Rex Burkhead get that work at the end of that Jaguars game didn't make any sense to me. How he came in with a concussion in that situation. So he's going to be better than we thought. So I'm going Buck Allen because I think Buck Allen will be on the field more.
Yeah, easy for me. I'm going Buck Allen because not only is he the pass catching back, and like I said before, he's also the goal line back.
Yes.
So because of that extra added, I got to go with him.
Should I sell Odell Beckham while I can? This guy says I can get Julio and T.Y. Holy smokes. Are you kidding me?
Yes, if you can get Julio and T.Y., go over it right now. Go, just get off the podcast, stop listening, go over and hit accept right now.
So my normal answer to that question, Jim, is no, you don't trade a guy when he's at a low point, right? But when you hear those kind of players, then you say, oh, yeah. I mean, hell, if he had 5 touchdowns already, I probably would have said yes.
Yeah, I would too. Absolutely. You're getting 2 good receivers for 1 good receiver. I got to love that chance.
Let's move over to the Facebook chat here, too. A lot of guys giving us good stuff here. Is it time to trade Coleman before it's too late? And what value can I expect to get for him? They're talking about Tevin Coleman, obviously, in Atlanta.
Go ahead, Tony. I'll let you jump in first.
This is a hard question to answer because what value should you expect to get from him? I think you're looking at a 3rd or 4th round running back that you could possibly get for him. I think like a Carson in Seattle would be something that you would get from him. A guy that's out there every down, but not getting a lot of action. I don't think people are going to jump on Tevin Coleman in that situation. So I don't think you get a lot from him.
I agree. I don't think you get a ton for him, and I wouldn't sell him. Look, Freeman, is dealing with this injury that could be longer than we expect. Coleman will ride the rails as a starter until that happens. But even when Freeman comes back, Coleman is, a good fantasy back all on his own, scores your fantasy points. He's a good guy to have. Unless you get your socks rocked by a really great offer, I think you hold on him right now.
And Jim, when it comes to running backs, you gotta hang on to these guys like they're gold and put a little premium on them. Like I would never trade a guy like Tevin Coleman, even for Deshaun Jackson, for you people out there, because the running backs are hard to come by. You can get wide receivers, and Deshaun Jackson's the 3rd wheel in that offense.
I totally agree. Totally, absolutely agree. Especially with all the underperforming running backs we have going so far, you got to take anybody who's being positive.
Brad in the Facebook room asks, Brandon Marshall versus Dallas or Kenny Stills versus Oakland? PPR.
Okay, who was the first one? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Brandon Marshall against the Dallas Cowboys or Kenny Stills against Oakland in full point PPR?
Ooh, again, Stills had the great first week, didn't do much last week. Oakland's been pretty good against the pass. Even 0-2, but they did go against the Rams in Denver. But they played Denver really well that way. Man, that is a tough one. Brandon Marshall only had the 4 receptions. We didn't really see him get any looks in the end zone. I think until we see Marshall, getting those end zone chances, I think you got to ride Stills and see what you get out of him.
Here's what I'll say. Marshall probably gets 6 or 7 targets. It wouldn't shock me if Kenny Stills only got 3 targets. And I'll still go Kenny Stills because Brandon Marshall can't get down the field anymore. He's not even close to the player he was. He does play in that Seattle offense because the wide receivers are so poor that he could get 6 or 7 targets. I'll go with Kenny Stills, where I think there's at least upside of getting 13, 14 points, where if Marshall doesn't get a touchdown, there's no way he's getting 13 points.
AJ in the WTF YouTube chat asks, he's got a trade offer here, Tony. He has Kareem Hunt, and he could give Kareem Hunt away and get back David Johnson and Lamar Miller. Should he accept this?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 running backs for 1. How the hell? Who are these people in these leagues, man? Running backs are hard to come by. I'm not a Lamar Miller guy at all, but anytime I get 2 starting running backs for 1, I'm doing it. David Johnson was the 3rd pick in drafts, and you're throwing in another player. This trade shouldn't even be allowed, actually, in the league.
What do you guys think?
That way now there you get into a touchy point. I hate trades not being allowed.
Jim, I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
I won't play in a league that allows owners to vote on trades. Not even close. Sorry. As soon as I hear that, I'm out. You know what? Owners have their own agendas. I don't want them voting on a trade. If two players agree on a trade, then, unless it's, giving your first, second, third round pick up for Deshaun Jackson, then, at that point, the commissioner has to step in, and I am okay with that. But no way do I want owners, voting on a trade. I hate that.
You know how I got around this in a league that I was a commissioner of, and I'm sure there's listeners out there who might be in the same spot. We would have that happen where people would veto trade just because they don't want to see someone else, get over on them. So what I said is, okay, guys, here's what we have to do. There's 12 guys in the league, 7 people, so a majority have to veto a trade. But I'm going to post the trade to the message board. You have like 2 hours. You got to post your name to it and say that you veto it. Once you have to put a legit name to it, every trade's going through now. No one's ever vetoing anything because guys don't want to be, they don't want to look like a dick to their friends. But so it worked really well.
But it works because you all know each other.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're
if you're playing on an internet league, that would never work.
Speaking of guys that you took early and now you're debating playing them versus a waiver wire guy, Daniel asks, should I start Alex Collins or Philip Lindsay this week?
Hey, look, that's an easy one for me. I'm riding the hot hand of Lindsay. I mean, he's out playing Freeman by far. There's no doubt about it. This little kid, but 5'7".
Like a little kid.
Yeah, he's playing like a fire plug right now. He's good through the middle. He's good to the outside. He's a good pass catching back. He's being what they thought Freeman would be, and he's doing a better job of it. So right now, I'm going to fly with him until he dies.
All right. So this is very similar to the question with Larry Fitzgerald earlier. I think you can say maybe they're close. I would lean towards Collins, but Collins is injured too. So go with Lindsay.
So we got another guy in our YouTube chat room, Rashad, asking, he says, hey guys, who should I flex? 0.5 PPR, which is the ideal PPR to play. Should he start Geronimo Allison, Duke Johnson, John Brown, or Jamal Williams? Got a bunch of kind of, low end guys, maybe, some middling late round picks. Who are you guys starting here, Tony?
I'm going for upside. I'm going to go Geronimo Allison in a game where I expect them to throw the ball around. I think that you're right. They're all midland players, and I'm just going guy with the most upside and a good offense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Duke Johnson hasn't even been involved. Of course, coach comes out and said they need to get him more involved, but if they do, we'll see if they do or not. But, at that point, it could be total coach speak. Sure, they need to get him involved. Will Tyrod Taylor throw the ball enough to get him involved is definitely the question there. So I agree with you. I'm going with Allison as well. This game, they're going to put up points. Green Bay is their implied point total is over 24 points in this one. He's definitely going to be throwing the ball around.
We talk about our fantasy football group on Facebook, and a new member, Alex Fleming, has a trade question. Tony, he's asking, should he trade his Dalvin Cook to get David Johnson and Buck Allen?
Again, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
two for one.
Yeah, 2 guys, absolutely. Again, I can't believe people are throwing – guys, let this be a lesson to you. Don't trade 2 running backs for one, unless the guy's named Todd Gurley.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, look, both Cook and David Johnson are pretty equal in my mind. With David Johnson getting the slight edge because he's done it. But when you're getting 2 for 1 at that point, even a Buck Allen, I absolutely think you have to do that.
We'll squeeze a few more in here. Quarterback question: Deshaun Watson versus the Giants or Fitzmagic versus the Steelers?
I'm going with Fitzmagic till the wheels come off. Like I said, Giants defense has been playing good. Deshaun Watson hasn't looked like the Deshaun Watson of last year yet. He definitely looked better with Fuller back, but he still didn't look great. missed a couple of throws he should have hit. So right now, Fitzpatrick's hot. You got to play Fitzpatrick in a game that Vegas has the highest scoring game in a week.
Yeah, both Pittsburgh cornerbacks were hurt last week, so they won't be 100% healthy if they play. Absolutely, Ryan Fitzmagic.
Eventually, you got to, you know the upside with him after the first 2 weeks, but you know the downside. We've seen it before. He gets off to a great start, and all of a sudden the wheels come off. And that could happen. I'm not going to say it don't. If he throws a dud this week, I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, there's enough evidence showing he's playing really good football. They're calling really good plays. Deshaun Jackson is continuing to make plays down the field. And as long as this all keeps happening, you got to ride the hot hand.
Here's an interesting one. Trade away Adam Thielen to get – see, I don't like this at all. Deshaun Jackson and Alex Collins.
Nope, absolutely not. Nope.
That's a guy trying to sell high on Deshaun Jackson.
Absolutely not. Don't even think about it. Say no, go away.
Did you say no, Jim?
No. Absolutely not.
I mean, you are getting a running back there. Not that he's doing much.
No.
Yeah. There's no good way to spin that. You know, a guy I'd like to ask your guys' opinion about here is Adrian Peterson. And I've got him in some leagues, and I see other people talking about him online. Everyone say, hey, the wheels are about to fall off. But we're talking here about how valuable running backs are. If he's on your roster, are you holding him or are you selling him?
Yeah, if he's on my roster, I'm going to hold him, even though I don't think it's going to end well. I think we saw the guy look tired. I think the Washington offensive line's not great. I don't – and Chris Thompson is playing way more than I ever anticipated, and I would not think Peterson's going to be anytime I put him in my lineup. But I can't cut him because I don't want to take the chance of giving away a running back.
Yeah, no, see, this is what I would do if you have Peterson. You wait till the next big game he has and then sell.
Yeah.
The next time he has a good game, sell. I told everybody after week 1, sell. Try and get rid of him at that point. If they didn't, you can't sell him now after the bad week. The one thing we got to try and make people understand and learn is you can't sell low. You can't sell low. It's a stupid move from any way you look at it. It doesn't make any sense at all to do that. So you can't do it. Don't do it.
The last thing I saw in the Facebook chat and on YouTube here is a couple of people asking us about Carson Wentz and should they feel confident putting him back in their lineup this week. So guys, are you putting Carson Wentz back in regardless, or is there kind of a QB2 you might say, nah, I'm gonna play him first. Say you have Fitzpatrick and he's been your streamer. You gonna play Fitzpatrick or are you gonna slide Wentz in there?
I'm playing Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, me too. I think you hit it on the head, Brian. I think it depends on who you've had as your quarterback too. And I'd like to see him get through a game, Carson Wentz, and see what they do. I was surprised that he didn't play from week 1, so he's not as far along as I thought he would have been. I would have sit it out if I have another option.
Yeah, no, not only that. I mean, some of these quarterback 2s are outplaying the quarterback 1s.
Yeah, absolutely.
That were in the drafts anyway, that were drafted that way.
Well, thank you very much, everybody who went on the Facebook chat and anybody who's on our YouTube page right now watching along with us. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to ask everybody who's listening, whether it be on YouTube or iTunes, please, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a rating, whatever you can do. Help us get our name out there, spread the word, retweet our tweets, whatever you can do, guys. We want to get more people involved and get more people coming to the live chat and really start to amp this show up. So thank you all for coming tonight. And, we appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jim. If they weren't here, where would we be?
I'd probably be in bed by now. I got to tell you, this old man needs his early bedtime. It's hard to keep this beauty looking good without sleep.
Brian, there's nothing left to say.
We've really said it all, guys. Good luck out there this weekend. And if you've got an 0-2 team, you're not out of it yet. Keep grinding that waiver wire, man. It's a long season. You just need 1 or 2 guys to hit. Don't give up.
Okay, guys. Good night. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week. That'd be us. We be out.